What's going on, YouTube? It's Donnie B all day with a weird glare. It looks like, I don't know if it's picking up on you guys, but on the phone all I can see is this glare. So we are doing a little cooking tonight, and this one is going out to a special lady. This is Cowboy Sebop's lovely Linda, the awesome woman that keeps him up on his feet. So Cowboy Sebop, get Linda in front of this, and we are going to make something good. So today, another very, very easy dish that is phenomenal. I made this last week, and one of the daughters had a friend over, and the friend ate pretty much almost the whole thing, had the leftovers and everything, and it was good. So we're going to do this again. So this is basically what it is. It's a 3 pesto tortellini in a homemade creamy broccoli cheese sauce. Yeah, try putting all that on the menu. So we're just going to give it a name. We're going to call it, I don't know, D-bad stuff. Why not? Let's just do it. So this is what we're doing. We're taking some tortellini and we're going to throw that into hot water and boil that up with some broccoli. I use chopped. You could use florets or spears or whatever you want. Chopped broccoli just goes on the fork a lot easier. So I'm going to throw those in a pot, which I already have on a stove. Those are going in together. Next, we're going to do the cheesy cream sauce, the pesto cheesy cream sauce, a little separate. And this is all you need to make this entire meal. You need the tortellini and broccoli. That's it. You need cheese. I am using a triple cheddar blend, so that's going to be fantastic. You can do it with a mozzarella. You can do it with any kind of cheese you want. This is going to be really good. I might even throw a little bit of mozzarella in there just for the sticky factor, but I might not. I might just stick with the cheddar. So you're going to need 1 can of cream of broccoli soup. You are going to need a little bit of milk, and you are going to need your pesto. Now, this is what I do. You can use 1 pesto and it'll be fine. So if you only have a jar of pesto in the house, a little basil pesto, that's perfect. You're going to still get a good flavored stuff. But I want you to have a better flavored stuff. I want this stuff to be like, holy crap, it just made my knees stiff kind of good. And just get your knees stiff, you're going to need 3 kinds of pesto to do it all right. And so right here I have asparagus pesto, delicious. I have your standard just regular basil pesto, it's rustic basil. And of course it adds a little color, tomato ricotta pesto. So these 3 together make up the blend. So when you're talking about what do you need, you just need cheese, you need some pesto, cream of broccoli, and a little bit of milk. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my cream of broccoli. I'm going to open up the top here, and I'm just going to put this can in a separate pot with obviously no water in it. You're just going to empty that out. Now, it says generally you can use, what, like a can of water or something like that to get these done, or a can of milk. When you're doing a cheese sauce, remember you don't want a soup, so you don't want it too thin. So rather than fill an entire can, take out your milk and go halfway. So that's all I'm doing is half a can of milk, just a touch more, and putting that right in the pot. Mark, put the chicken in the pot. So that's all I'm doing for that. Now, I have already some ingredients down, right? So I've already used whatever I need for the, I've already used all that I need for the soup mix. I've already used everything I need for the milk. Those 2 are done. So all that's left is to start heating it up, and then we start to incorporate everything. My water is looking pretty warm, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this bag of broccoli right here and throw some broccoli and the tortellini into my pot of water here. Gotta love Costco, man. Gotta love Costco. All right, so all I'm doing is taking the tortellini, dropping some in there, dropping some out of there. And that's it. Now I'm going to take the broccoli, and you pretty much use broccoli just to how much you want personally. There's no right or wrong amount, just like the tortellini. If you got a package of Andes, use a package of Andes. If you got a big old package of this, use a big old package of this. I'm going to throw a nice hefty amount of broccoli in there, and I'll take you over here and show you where I'm looking. So this is what I have. So I'm just going to mix it up a little bit, and that's going to be my broccoli and tortellini right there. Now this is a cheese tortellini. I believe it's a 5 cheese, and it is. It's a 5 cheese tortellini. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my fork that I just put down for no reason, and all I'm going to do is start mixing the soup, you know, to get it all combined so it's one thick stuff instead of, let's see if I can get it in there pretty good. I don't know if you guys are if it's probably just bright from the light, but all I'm doing is mixing the milk and the soup together so I don't have just a big lump of soup. Now that's going to be perfect just like that as it warms up. So next step for that is to throw in the cheese. So I got to open this up, and here's the thing, here's where Donnie be all day is not always the smartest dude. I was looking for my cheese and I couldn't find it. Don't know what I did with it. This is cheese. This is stuff you don't put in the freezer, right? So I was looking for my cheese, couldn't find it. It's because I accidentally stuck it in the freezer. So for cheese, what you're going to do is I take pretty much like 2 or 3 golf ball sized chunks and throw them in there, and then right away I'm going to start to mix that cheese in so I can get a nice even run. I want that cheese to be nice and ooey gooey, and that is going to be fan-freaking-tastic. So what I gotta do is just clean off the fork. The good thing is I already have a thing of water with tortellini and broccoli in it, and since I'm going to be using it anyway, it doesn't matter if I get some in there. So now we're going to talk about the pesto, right? There's I forgot an ingredient. I don't know where my head is at. Minced garlic. So you don't want to go overboard with the garlic, but you definitely want some in there. So I am going to do 1 forkful of garlic. That's it. All right, so now my garlic is in. I almost forgot. How does an Italian guy forget garlic? Man, where is that knife? Where is it? I gotta put that across my own neck. Ugh. All right, so now basically you're gonna get a lot of your flavor out of your regular basil pesto, right? So again, I'm doing about a forkful. All right, so I'm gonna throw that in there with the garlic, and I'm gonna start mixing it up with the cheese and all of that, and it's gonna start looking nice. And because it's cream of broccoli, at this point I really haven't changed the color, right? So I'm at a pretty muted looking sauce, right? It's still white, and because I have to go into another jar, I want to make sure that I thoroughly clean off my fork. All right, so now I'm going to use the artichoke pesto, and I'm going to give that a good mix. And what I'm going to do here is just use about a fork, right? And I'm going to put that in there, and I'm just going to mix it in, and it's going to get in there nice and lovely. Nice and lovely. So all that is coming together. I'm just mixing in the stuff, and once again I'm going to clean off my fork in the hot water. Perfect. You see how easy this is. I mean, this is easy. This is, I don't care if you're 13 years old, I don't care if you're 83 years old, anybody can do this stuff. And I'll tell you what, if you do it, you're gonna totally appreciate it. You're gonna say, wow, that was good. And once you make one of these sauces, you realize how easy it is. You can think to yourself, I can make a sauce for anything. And literally, you can make a sauce for anything. So now I'm going to take a forkful of the tomato and ricotta pesto. And what that's going to do, it's going to start to add a little color. Besides the flavor is great. But it's going to add a little color, and it's going to give a little something different to this mix here. And it pulls it away from the color of the tortellini, because you don't want everything the same color, right? When you're making a meal, you want something to stand out. So now that that's there, I have all that, the mix is good. What I'm going to do is just let it sit there and simmer just a little bit. And I'll show you where I'm looking at. And the only thing I add at this point is a touch of basil pesto after I start getting it mixed in. All right, so let's try this. Let's try this, just show you what we're looking at. And that's it. You can see that, I don't know if you could pick up the little orange tinge, but that's there. So let me put this on the fire now. It's all mixed. Remember, I mixed it in cold, and now I'm going to put it on the fire and let it simmer. And you don't need to go crazy with the heat. You don't want to go too crazy with the heat. You want to just let it simmer up. All right. So if I put on the heat already, what would have happened is then these would have been cooking at 2 different times. I'd be overcooking this or having to shut it off and then reheat it just to get it to match up, because the noodles obviously take longer than the sauce. So with the sauce, what it comes down to is I don't have to cook anything. I just have to heat it. That's it. So that's nice. And what I'm going to do now is take a half forkful of this guy right here. Just give it a little touch off right there. Make it nice. So that's it. That's pretty much the whole sauce. The only thing I can do at this point with it, if I wanted to, depending on the consistency of the cheese, is I can add more cheese. Can't take more away. So, and that's why I'm very careful with how much of the pesto I put in at first. I want to see how it's looking, because you can always add more, but you can't take some out, right? That's the problem with cooking is if you don't get it, if you put in too much at first, then you have to keep adding more of other stuff, and eventually you have enough to feed 68 people. And when you're sitting home alone, that's probably not something you want to do. So I have all that. That's done. Tortellini's done. The broccoli is all done. I put all that stuff away. And here's the thing is, while everything's cooking, that gives you plenty of time to do your cleanup. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put away these couple bottles. I'm going to heat that up. And if I need more cheese, I'll add more cheese, but I'll let you see what's going on. All right, so I'm almost done here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw a pinch more of cheese. Just a pinch. So I'm doing about a ping pong ball more of cheese. And that should bring me to the consistency I want when it comes to the cheese. That should do it right there. Then I'm just going to put together a little salad. I'm going to use some good greens, and instead of a dressing, I think what I'll use is some guacamole and some pico de gallo, a little bit of mushrooms, olives, maybe some minced chicken. I got some diced chicken that I had sitting in there. And I'll make a little salad to go with this. But if you've never used really soft guacamole for a salad dressing, you should try it. You should try it. It's good. So these noodles look like they're just about done. Just about done. That's looking nice. And let's see here. I'm going to up the heat just a touch on my little soup mix. Let it catch up. My cheese sauce here, not a soup mix. Let's see. I might need a little bit more cheese. You want the consistency to be a cheesy consistency and not a thick soup consistency. So if it looks like broccoli and cheddar soup, then you probably need more cheese. And this is where I usually add mozzarella, because the mozzarella is going to melt and hold it all together like a cheese. And that's what I'm going to do, like a cheese sauce. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add just a little bit of mozzarella. So I'll do about a ping pong ball of mozzarella and let that melt in there real fine, real fine. Ooh-wee. And so that'll melt in there, and what that'll do is it'll just give me a thicker base, a thicker consistency. It's not going to change the flavor. It's not going to change the color. It's not going to do any of that. All it's going to do is add thickness to the cheese sauce. So while that heats up the cheese and lets the cheese melt real quick, I can take my pasta off the burner because it looks like it's done. And I'll give it a quick test. And there's only one way to test pasta. People think that you can do it different ways. You just taste it. That's it. Because you're not going to know how perfect it is by taking off a little tiny piece. You just take one of these out of there. And I can tell by how soft it is that it's pretty much done, but, well, you know, I like to taste it. So, what I'm going to do, instead of just tasting this, I'm going to dip it right in there. Oh my God. And now I'm going to get my strainer out, mix this while I'm doing that. And now I'm starting to get a nice consistency. I can see the cheese start to run, so I'll show you that. Clean off the fork here. When you don't have a pot holder nearby, you just bring your sleeve up. All right. Ooh, dog. So, now I let the water fall out of there. I'm going to mix this up a little bit while I'm standing here. And now I'm starting to get a nice cheesy flow. Now I'm starting to get a great fall. And that's what I wanted. So here I have my pasta is just going right back into the pot that I cooked it in. Right? So once all the water's gone, at least most of the water's gone, because there's always going to be little drips. I just take that, put it back from whence it came. And the only reason you say it like that is because it sounds fancy. And when things are fancy, that means they taste better. So let's bring you over here. Let's bring you over here and show you this. Okay, so now watch this consistency. Look at that. Watch. See how it's slow and it's getting this string? That's what you want. You want a nice string. And you can go thicker. You can go thicker, heavier cheese. Some people like it really thick. The first one I did had a nice thick cheese consistency. Look at that. Oh, man. So what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to turn off this heat and put you guys down right here. You get a good vision of my freaking palm. And so now I go straight from pot to pot. And oh, my goodness. So now I'm going to scrape out all this jazz right here. All that cheese. And using the cheddar gives it just something extra. You can go with straight up mozzarella, that's it. But if you got the cheddar, cheddar's better. All right, so now I take this and I'm just going to run some water through it. Makes it easier to clean if you do it right away. So listen, ladies, if you're married, and I know, Linda, you seem to be, tell your man it doesn't take anything to brush off that first potful. All right, so let me pick out my fork out of there. Let me clean it because I just got it all in there. And of course, when I say clean it, I just mean lick off the sauce. All right, so now all I'm going to do is mix it all together. Mix it all together. And, you know, obviously, the only utensil I've used so far has been this fork, right? So I just made an entire meal with minimal, you know, things to clean. I had to clean 2 pots and 1 strainer and a fork, and eventually, you know, whatever I'm going to eat out of. That's it. And that's, I mean, if it doesn't get any easier than that, woo. So now what I'll see is what we get here looks a lot like that, right? And you can just see you got the greens in there, you got the colored sauce, and it's hard to tell. And then, holy moly. All right, so let me do some plating here. Hold on. Okie dokie. So I finalized it. I did my salad. Everything looks really, really good. If this doesn't look like something you could see at a restaurant, or you can find plated at a restaurant, look at this. Look at the way the colors come together. That's a big thing. Plating is a big part of the battle when it comes to food. You know what I mean? The yellows with the corn, the tomatoes, and all that. Then you have the greens all throughout. You had a nice split. That right there is just magnificent. And again, there's no dressing in this. It's just guacamole with pico de gallo, some olives, some mushrooms, and some chicken. And that's it. But that right there, guys, that right there is a fantastic meal. I'm going to go eat it and enjoy it. And who knows, maybe this week, Cowboy C-Bop, you might be eating a cheesy tortellini, basil, cheese sauce, D-bad, mix match, amazing meal. So, Linda, get that going. It's going to be good. So that's it, guys. That's it. I'm going to go eat. Talk to y'all later. I'm Donnie B all day. Until next video.